I believe we are still in a crypto bull market. I believe we may continue to play this out, and I'm going to show you what I think is going to happen over the next 6 months and finally move into alt season when it comes to large caps and small caps, just like we've all been waiting for. I'm Brian, Big Dumb Animal, don't do what I do, informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. So I'm going to walk you through 3 things. We're going to look at the total market. I talk about this quite a bit, but it's going to lay the foundation for what I would say is the second part of this video, and that is a 6-month period of time. Now, it's not so much the period of time. If you look here on the chart, it's more pegged to what I'm going to show you, the phases, the total market cap. So we're at 3.1 trillion now when I'm recording this. 3.2 to 3.4, what's going to happen there? 3.6 to 3.8, around 4 trillion, and then above 4 trillion. So it's not so much the in this month this will happen, but as the market cap moves up, typically what's going to happen in those phases. But it's easier just to talk about it in terms of months. Okay, and then I'll talk about portfolio-wise what to look for and what cryptos will be moving during these phases. All right, so let's get started here. This is the total market. I show this quite a bit on a weekly time frame. If we look back, we can see 2021's market and the corrections that it had. This started back here. If we look at right here at this edge, it says 2021 all-time highs, this black line. And this starts the beginning of 2024. 1, 2, 3 corrections. The question being, are we currently in a correction, or are we turning a correction in a bull market, or are we turning into a bear market? Well, in a bull market, you're going to have higher highs and higher lows. What does that exactly mean? Here's a high before it corrected. Here's a high before it corrected. Here's a high. I believe it's correcting. Each high is higher than the last one. Higher lows. Here's a low, and possibly a low. Higher lows will mean that we're still in a bull market. Higher highs, higher lows. We want to see this turn around and move upward. 4 indicators to look at. Blue, 50-week MA. Yes, it's come below it. Yes, it's significantly below it now. I don't think that's a bad sign. It's smoothing out price action. RSI. You can see here RSI 0 to 100 scale, around 70 and above, typically overbought, around 30 or below, oversold. But let's think about it, 30 or below being bull market, not a bear market. These last couple corrections were in the 40 range. So 40 to 50, you can look at it as a accumulation zone. Because as prices come down, people start accumulating. If they start buying, well, that's why it then starts moving up. It's going up because you got more buyers than sellers. It's going down because you have more selling activity than buying activity, which is referenced here in the MEXC. I have extensive videos on that, particularly in my crypto school. I'll talk about it at the end. But essentially, this is the week we are in. We want to see the MEXC start to turn and curl and move to the upside, hopefully signaling that this is a bottom and we're moving into this bull market, which is what we'll talk about. OBV, on balance volume, volume precedes price. Of course, you're going to have the idea that volume precedes price. You've got people buying at a bottom, and then eventually you've got more buying than selling, and it moves up, vice versa for moving down. So we want to see that this is pushing up, and we've got some buying pressure. That seems to be beginning here. Could it still come down and test? Yes. Each one of these drops was 30 to 36%. I think in 2021 it had 3 drops, and maybe 5, but it had a couple, and one of them was as much as 50%. Could we have another one of those? Of course. We could have pullbacks, drops, but as long as we're not breaking this lower low of this one being around 2.28 trillion. So the indicators and everything, I believe at the moment with the current data, looks like we could still and are still in a bull market and moving up. All right, let's talk about months over a 6-month period of time. The first period of time being December to January. I'd like to see the 3.2 to 3.3 being reclaimed. Trillion. Remember I said a lot of this is based on the total market cap, not so much the months. But during this period of time, December to January, it would be nice to get back to 3.2, 3.3. I think if that starts to happen, we're going to have Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, and we'll have a lot of accumulation are starting to see accumulation in the larger cap cryptos. Then January to March. So January, February, March, or February, March time frame. Once we've got that 3233, we'd like to see 34, which might put us around or above the 50-week MA. It's going to start to continue to trend down a little bit as this moves up. So 3-4 trillion. Then we see the RSI get around 50, 55, and OBV continue to move. So this is January, February, March time frame. BTC may continue to make new highs. Ethereum continue to move up, but outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance starting to drop. And I would like to see a lot of the high quality layer ones start to explode during that time frame. Then March to April, or let's say March to June, alt season. March to about April being the phase one, or let's say large cap altcoins. And then till June being the smaller cap altcoins, but that's alt season. In alt season, I would expect during this March to April period to see 2 to 4x on these large caps. That's typical from the past. And really, instead of months, that would be about 3.6 to around 3.8. In this area here, I would like to see 2 to 4x in those large caps. You know, that's typically when we would be seeing a lot of the liquidity or the money moving from Bitcoin into Ethereum and then into these large caps. Then April to June would be the alt season for the smaller cap ones. That I would like to see breaking 4 trillion, really in the 4.2 to 4.6. So that's when we're getting out of this zone. We break the 4.2, depends on if you're looking at the close versus the wick. But if it breaks 4.2 and continues on the upside to 4.2, 4.4, 4.6, we're in a bull market. Everyone's talking about being back. Retail's back. Popular apps like Coinbase, Crypto.com, whatever, are moving up in the App Store, if not number one. Searches on Google, people are back looking for these things. Retail's in. Small caps are flying 5 to 10x on your favorite small caps. And with small caps, it typically moves in narratives, so into groups. Of course, you've got your L1s because they just moved as large caps, but then you've got your decentralized finance, smaller cap ones, your decentralized physical infrastructure, DePIN, AI, RWA, gaming, possibly meme coins, RWA, real world asset tokenization, meme coins, that sort of thing. Those narratives really starting to take off. Of course, in that time frame would be what we might call moonshots, or the highest risk, but possibly highest reward ones, really incredibly small cap ones like 15 to 16 million. Lastly, June to September time frame, what they call that blow off top. Every narrative, it will probably peak at a different time. So you're going to want to watch them with respect to one another. So in other words, if you're watching AI and you've got 5 different cryptos, keep an eye on the 5 cryptos and how they do relative to one another. Because if narratives are moving at different times, it's pointless to compare DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, to AI if those narratives are moving at a different time. So if you have a list of your cryptos, group them by narrative and make sure you're comparing apples to apples when you're determining when to get in or out. During this whole time, I think it's imperative to sell as things are moving in chunks. So if you're seeing your L1s move, maybe a 50 to 100% move, and you're getting out of a significant portion of what you own. And as it moves again, another. Because if the large ones are just moving 2 to 4x, in my mind, and the smaller cap ones are moving 5 to 10x, then as we're getting 100 to 200% moves, I'm starting to sell. And then, of course, those moonshots, well, some of those you might want to just ride. But if they start to shoot up 5x, 10x, you might want to start taking some off the table. Lastly, I'll say, and please listen about my crypto school, I have this video, but in much more detail within the school. I go into individual cryptos in each one of those baskets. Which of the L1s I think will move first? They're what I would call the institutional L1s, the ones that institutional investors are interested in. Then the large caps, which ones I think will really take off, small caps, and some moonshots. So there's a link down below You can also see the URL on the screen here and a QR code. It takes you to the About page to discuss what's in my crypto school. There's videos here discussing it, testimonials. You'll also see I've got 2 different memberships. If you want to learn all about crypto, how to debank yourself, how to move into crypto, how to move money around, IRAs, everything related to crypto so you can come up to speed. I also have a crypto trading level, and I go into all things about how to trade, particularly with leverage, how I do it. And I've got courses. Some of them are 14 and 15 videos long, going through step by step how to get started and how to actually trade. Take a look if you wouldn't mind. I greatly appreciate if you go through, watch the videos, see if it's for you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.